I didn't realize how many of you were going to be so nervous to switch to back button focus instead of using your shutter release button as your focus button. When I tell you that I promise you'll never look back when you switch to the back button focus, I want you to believe me. It does such a good job. I highly recommend it. I'm going to show you a few tips and how I set up my camera to use it in the best way possible to make sure you get crisp photos. When I take family pictures, I like to have them move and run and just have fun with the photos. And using back button focus will make sure I capture that focus on where I want it and my subject can move around and run around and play like little kids. It does a great job. So stick with me. I'm going to teach you how I set up my camera to do just that. Oh, this button is now my focus button instead of my shutter release button. So once you have your focus set up to back button focus, I highly recommend switching your autofocus to AFC, and that means autofocus continuous. And especially if you shoot sport photography or wildlife photography, or like me, I do family photography and I like to capture movement, like kids moving, running around, stuff like that. This setting will make it so your focus is going to, once you select your focus using the back button focus, it's going to track whatever you selected. So if your subject starts moving around, it's going to follow wherever you selected that focus. So it does an amazing job. I shoot a Nikon D750. To set up my camera as autofocus continuous, I push this button right there, and in my screen, we'll focus AFC. And I just use the shutter. This is my shutter scroller until it says AFC. We're going to pretend like our little stuffy is a child or a basketball player, whatever object it is that's moving around that you want to capture, and have your camera keep its focus on. So you're going to make your selection by putting your focus box on the object that you want it to follow. Once it's where you want it, you'll hit your back button focus. That's going to make the selection. Then wherever this object moves, my focus is going to track it. So if it moves over here, it's going to keep its focus. And then I'll take my photo. Every time you take a photo, make sure you reselect where you want it to focus. But it does a really good job at tracking the subject. Try this out. I promise you'll love it. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's so worth it. Let me know if you have any questions.